गिरिनन्दिनि नन्दितमेदिनि विश्वविनोदिनि नन्दनुते गिरिवरविन्ध्यशिरोधिनि वासिनि विष्णुविलासिनि जिष्णुनुते भगवती हेशितिकण्ठकुटुम्बिनि भूरि कुटुम्बिनि भूरि कृते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते सुरवरवर्षिणि दूर्धरधर्षिणि दूर्मुखमर्षिणि हर्षरते त्रिभुवनपोषिणि शङ्करतोषिणि किल्बिषमोषिणि घोषरते धनुजनिरोषिणि दितिसुतरोषिणि दूर्मदशोषिणि सिन्धुसुते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते ऐ जगदम्ब मदम्ब कदम्ब वनप्रियवासिनि हासरते शिखरि शिरोमणि तुंग हिमालय शृंग निजालय मध्यगते मधु मधुरे मधुकैटभगञ्जिनि कैटभभञ्जिनि रासरते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते ऐशतखण्ड विखण्डितरुण्ड वितुण्डित शुण्ड गजाधिपते ऐश विखण्ड It is stopped here. Okay. रिपुगजगण्ड विदारणतुण्ड पराक्रम शुण्ड निर्पातितते जजभुजगदण्ड निपातितखण्ड जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते जय जय जप्य जय जय शब्द जय जय श्रुत तत्पनुते जन जन झिंझिमि झिंकृतनूपुर सिंजित मोहित भूतपते नटित नटार्ध नटी नटनायक नाटित नाट्य सुगानरते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते आई सुमन 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 सुमनोहर कांतियुते श्रित रजनी 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 करवक्त्रवृते सुनयन विभ्रमर भ्रमर 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 भ्रमराधिपते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते करमुरलीरव विजित कूजित लज्जित कोकिल मंजुमते मिलित पुलिंद मनोहर गुंजित रंजित शैल निकुंजगते निज गुण भूत महाशबरी गण सद्गुण समृत केलिरते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते कमलं करुणानिलये वरिवस्यति नोदुनिशं शिवे अयि कमले कमलानिलये कमलानिलयस्य कथं न भवेत् तव पदमेव परं पदमेत्यनुशीलयतो मम किं न शिवे जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते तव विमलेन्दुकुलं वदनेन्दुमलं सकलं ननुकूलयते किमु पुरुहूत पुरेन्दुमुखी सुमुखीभिरसौ विमुखी क्रियते मम तु मतं शिवनामधने भवती कृपया किमुत क्रियते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते अयि मयि दीनदयालुतया कृपयैव त्वया भवितव्यमुमे अयि जगतो जननी कृपयासि यथासि तथानुमितासि रते यदुचितमत्र भवत्युररि कुरुतादुरुतापमपाकुरुते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनि रम्यकपर्दिनि शैलसुते 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 जय महिषासुरमर्दिनी दुर्गा माई की जय। Meditation will be there, yeah. Still time, yeah. Om Vang me manasi pratisthita mano me vachi pratishthitam avirāvirmaedhi vedasya ma'anistha shrutam me ma prahasihi anenadhite nahoratran sandadhami ritam vadishyami satyam vadishyami tanmamavatu tadvaktaramavatu avatu mam avatu vaktaramavatu vaktaram. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. May my speech be firmly established in my mind. May the mind too be firmly established in my speech. O self-effulgent Lord, be revealed unto me. May not what I study from scriptures ever forsake me. Let me live my life day and night according to their teachings. I shall speak what is appropriate. I shall speak the truth. May that protect me. May that protect the teacher. Om. Peace. 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 The scriptures tell us that each of us is actually intrinsically divine. What it means is we are not this limited lump of flesh and blood that we call body. We are beyond all limitations. We are the all-pervading, infinitely luminous, perfect, ever blissful self. Let us feel this true nature of ours. That is the goal, to experience this true, infinitely blissful nature of ours. We have to experience it, and this experience makes us totally fulfilled, totally blissful. We become universal love itself. Let us feel this true nature of ours in our heart as a bright spark of light, and let us concentrate on that. The whole awareness is filled with this light of this self. All limitations, all I and mine, all restlessness is dissolved in it. It is total stillness. Complete peace. Serene bliss. Peace, peace, peace. So, dear friends, let us begin today's study session of this very important book to understand in the light of the life and teachings of Sri Ramakrishna what is the purpose of our life, what is the way to reach it, to attain to it, and so many other things connected with our various worries, problems of day-to-day living in this world. Let us begin by reciting the regular chant. Tava kathamritam tapta jivanam कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ते भूरिदा जनाः. We were studying the account of Sri Ramakrishna's various different symptoms which looked like illness. They were being treated by doctors, but there was this Bhairavi Brahmani who was a very devoted, wonderful, great, advanced spiritual person. And she could recognize, looking at the various signs on Sri Ramakrishna's body, that it is not sign of any physical illness, but it is due to exuberance of spiritual awareness that is coming out of his physical body. So, therefore, she gave some novel treatments and that worked. And she stressed that she can prove to anyone who has the knowledge of scriptures that these are the signs which were experienced by the incarnations of God. And it has been mentioned that such a tremendous outburst of spiritual awareness can be seen only in the incarnations of God, and therefore Sri Ramakrishna is incarnation of God. She said, bring those scholars, the spiritually elevated souls who have studied scriptures. Call their meeting, and I shall prove to them by showing the scriptural evidence that Sri Ramakrishna is an incarnation of God. Now, look, the contrast. Here is an ordinary, uneducated, seemingly, priest coming from village, a nice man, and man with lot of devotion, people could understand that. But maybe a few screws are loose. And also, therefore, there are some various physical ailments coming there. So, that was the understanding. And how to compare it with incarnation of God, God in human form. Will the God in human form just look like this? It doesn't tally. People thought, because their understanding about incarnation of God was so limited, that they said, no, this doesn't, it is not believable that here this ordinary village man who is almost unlettered and cannot even talk properly, so simple, so humble, can he be incarnation of God? What do you mean? Are you out of your senses? But Brahmani said, this Bhairavi Brahmani, that bring all the scholars. What do you understand after all? You need to, get the other scholars to see if they agree with my opinion or not. Bhairavi Brahmani was firm in her understanding, and we saw a great Vaishnava scholar of that time, Vaishnavacharan. He was tremendously learned and highly respected in the contemporary circle of scriptural scholars as well as spiritual practitioners. He was highly respected. So he was requested to come, and then when he saw Sri Ramakrishna, he said, "Well, I fully agree with what Bhairavi Brahmani is saying." Now see how he told it. Some people say that he probably just wanted to go with what Bhairavi Brahmani is saying, and maybe he thought he will get more respect from the owners of the temple by saying that. That was not the case. In fact, the owner of the temple, Mathur Babu, he was having completely other opinion, that this is Sri Ramakrishna is a devotee, a good man, okay, but all this, he also has a disease. No, the guy that needs to be treated. The two things need not be mixed up. It is like that somebody may have some good qualities and then may have some physical problems also. Somebody can be a wonderful singer, but that doesn't mean that that person can never have, say, insomnia or some such disease. Many diseases can still happen that they have no relation with the other things. So he was of that opinion that although Sri Ramakrishna, he has a lot of devotion, but that doesn't mean that he has no physical ailments. So, because the signs were all of physical ailment, so therefore it would have been rather better for a scholar to expect more remuneration, more respect, if he would slide with the owner rather than this mendicant, itinerant Bhairavi Brahmani. But after all, the arguments were so convincing that, quoting from all the Vaishnava scriptures and from other sources, she showed that this is the incarnation of God. Look at what the signs that appeared in the body of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this was all agreed upon, and Sri Ramakrishna, while was sitting in the debate, he was not conscious of what's going on. He was not paying in a way, he was not thinking that it is a discussion about himself. Not like very, oh, what they are going to say about me. He ultimately only said, oh, I feel relieved that there is no disease. It is, he was not anyway elated to know that he is incarnation of God. Imagine this, how much, even a little bit greatness, when it is proved to be with me, how much a person gets elated. I am so good. Now here a person is being equated to incarnation of God, and then still there is no ripple of ego coming into that person. It is the sign that there is absolutely no separate I consciousness there. He just said, okay, fine, I don't have disease. Feel relieved by hearing that. Now, it is, we will see now that the other and Saradananda Swami mentioned that Vaishnavacharan's comments on Sri Ramakrishna were not just superficially he said. He became an ardent follower. He came again to Dakshineshwar to see Sri Ramakrishna. We read that paragraph, but let's read it again. Vaishnav Charan's comments regarding the master's condition were not superficial. This is page 556. From that time on, his love and respect for the master, that is Sri Ramakrishna, increased. He visited Dakshineshwar frequently to enjoy the holy company of the master, sought the master's opinion regarding his own esoteric sadhanas, and sometimes brought the master to visit his fellow spiritual aspirants who followed the same path, so that they could be acquainted with the master and be blessed like he was. After associating with these aspirants and learning about their lives and their esoteric sadhanas, the ever pure, divine natured master came to realize that if people practiced rituals that the public might see as faulty and reprehensible, but did so as sadhana, wholeheartedly seeking God realization, they would not go astray. Gradually, they would develop renunciation and self control, make progress in spiritual life, and attain devotion for God. But the Master told us that when he first heard about these esoteric practices and some of them and saw some of them himself, this thought arose in his mind. They talk big, but why do they perform such abominable acts? However, the Master also told us that he finally changed his opinion when he saw that those aspirants amongst them who were truly simple and sincere indeed made spiritual progress. Yeah, some of them, according to the popular public notions, they were immoral practices. Not that they were actually immoral, but that is how they view of the population there was. Because what happens is people who are leading immoral life, they also do those things. Now this is a common logical folly that we fall into, that A does something and then that A is immoral. So when we see B doing that, we connect two and two and say that B also must be immoral. That becomes a sign of then immorality. So Sri Ramakrishna also had thought like that these abominable practices, why these people should take up. But well, they are not abominable if they take you to the higher level of spiritual awareness. And so he changed his opinion. He did not advocate those practices though. For most people he said, no, don't go by that path. But even that path, if followed sincerely, one can realize God through that as well. And so that was how his understanding was. So he used to say that Master sometimes told us how he saw them. Look, never harbor any hatred towards them. Know that theirs is also a path, although it is a dirty one. The path may be dirty, it is. I remember some childhood incidents. It is we children had to walk to school, and not too far, about a half a mile away. So there is a proper route to walk by, and then there if we are a little late and want to rush, there was a shortcut where it was not really a path also. We have to go through dirt and also climb over the fences of some houses and then reach there early. So it was a shorter path, no doubt, but not a good path. It is the likely that the neighbors would catch and scold us, hey, why are you climbing on the fence like this? The thieves do like that. So it is so, but one can do it to reach, you reach the same place, that's for sure. So, but that path would not be probably taken by most people going to school. It is usually the thieves and others, they would do that to avoid the public attention. So therefore, this was Sri Ramakrishna wouldn't advise this path. But if somebody criticizes, some people criticize, then Sri Ramakrishna said, no, there are some paths which are dirty, but yet could be one can reach by that path also. That's a path too. So, it is easy for the human mind, so full of worldly desires, to move towards the path of it is, sorry, I did not read it properly. Is it easy for the human mind, so full of worldly desires, to move towards the path of renunciation? Can a person call on God without any motive and with sincerity proceed to attain Him? This is a question that we should ask ourselves. It is, of course, very good if our mind is very pure, desireless, and we seek God like that, and with completely single-pointed attention and purity. Our concentration is nowhere else but on God. And that would have been wonderful, very nice. But the question is, almost all of us, let us put just for to give it a figure, say 99.99% of us, I am giving a conservative estimate, 99.99% of ours do not have much of spiritual inclination per se. We want to get it if we can get it without much trouble. Our actual attractions are elsewhere. It would have been good if we have the attraction towards God and to nothing else. But our mind goes for 5 minutes to God, and then remaining 23 hours, 55 minutes in all other directions. So therefore, even when we pray to God, there are so many desires coming up. And then now what to do? So therefore, the scriptures have mentioned certain techniques to get the mind to love God. It is. One of them is that all your desires that you are thinking, I should get all this, okay, pray to God and then you will get them fulfilled. So the idea is the mind to some extent turns towards God by that, because that is how it is told, that it is like an example. Suppose a child is to be given some medication. The child is having fever, and back there in India in the olden times, especially, it used to be a malaria medication, a quinine, because most of them would have malaria. So, and it was very, very terribly bitter thing to take that medication. And children would naturally cry, refuse, wouldn't take it. So, they would be given some bribe that, okay, if you see, take this medicine. If you take this medicine, we will give you a candy. That candy was a fairly good bribe those days. These days it won't work, but these days they would have to be told, if you take this medicine, we will buy a game for you, and then that may work. Isn't it, Vittal? Can that work? Yeah, that can work. It's a game that you want. If you give that, that will be. So now the child, for that candy or whatever reward, takes that medicine. For in the mind of the child, why the child is taking it? Because to get that gift, that candy or substitute of that. For that the child is taking the medicine. But is that the effect of the medicine? And the medicine is going to cure the child of that disease. That is the real effect. The child is not worried about that. The child is thinking, hey, I will get candy, that's about it. But it is, the real effect is your disease will be cured. So spiritually speaking, we are at that child level, baby level, if at all. So it is, we do not normally go towards that. We think that, oh, these worldly pleasures and all, they are there. What is God? I will think about God. They say it's good to pray to God, but let me do it in the old age. When I become old, then I will think about it. This young age is for various other enjoyments. Now after this age is gone, I will not be able to enjoy those anymore. So at that time, then I will think about God. God doesn't run away, so I can pray to God at that time. That is how the mind cheats. So it is, we are not that much interested in it. So the sages, they understand this problem. They ask this question, oh, you are running after these enjoyments. Just think, are you getting them? Think about it. Are you getting them? And then the mind looks, no, I am running after them, I am chasing them, I am working hard to get them. But am I getting? Not really. And then the teachers say, I will show you a way to get it. Is it? Yes, yes, all your desires will be fulfilled. Just you have to do a very simple thing. There's not so much efforts. With much less efforts, you will be able to get all your desires fulfilled. You will get everything that you just are seeking. And the person becomes interested. What is it? All that is, you pray to God and God will give you everything. Whatever you want, pray to God. And they tell many stories of how this person was so poor, but he prayed to God and thus got rich. There are stories like that. One person was being hated by all, but if when he prayed to God, see, he found many friends and he was liked by others. So somebody wanted to become a king and then tried, was not able to, and then there's listened to the advice of the sage. Oh, do this and you will become king. Okay, let me try that also. One thing is sure, if you pray to God, that is how human mind thinks. It is not going to bring any harm for sure. It doesn't hurt to pray to God. I am doing so many other things. So praying to God, it doesn't hurt. So let me try. That is how many advertisers they advertise a product like that. That what harm is there in trying? Try it for free. That some these plans of various these they on internet also you see lots of them. That this membership 1 month for free. Try free trial for 1 month, and then a person thinks that okay, let me try it for 1 month. Anyway, I don't lose anything. If I don't like, I will switch it off. So it is that is a very common tendency of human mind to see. Yeah, if I am getting it without any strings attached, if I don't have to pay anything, why not try a little bit? It is try some sample. They give some places those ice cream parlors that oh there are so much variety. Can I taste? Do you give sample? So this they are very open. Okay, take a little sample. They give it on a toothpick or something. After all, how much does it take? So okay, try, and then after trying, the person gets hooked up. So this is the technique that is applied. That okay, try to take the name of the God. Now, what happens here? And this is beautifully described in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita and then other chapters that follow it. That by the grace of God, those desires that the person was aspiring for, they get fulfilled. And thus, the person's faith in God increases. So there is some such thing, and then automatically one thinks, so after all, God is more valuable than those things that I was seeking from God. This, of course, is a big leap, that instead of seeking things from God, it would be much better to seek God alone. Then I will have everything since I have God. God is the abode of everything. And so if I have God, I have got everything. So that is how the person is drawn towards God using these techniques. So, in this sect, similar idea is used, that it is that the books of worship enjoin worshipping the Divine Mother with austerity and purity of heart. But there are some people who prescribe singing a few lustful songs for her satisfaction. One should not wonder at this or condemn it. It proves that weak human beings are strongly bound with the chain of lust and gold by the all powerful Mahamaya, the power of nations. We don't see the one without second, all pervading reality, and see this non existent divisions, I and world. That is this Mahamaya. So, and then we get so many desires. So, and we don't have that ability to get rid of those. So, it is impossible for human beings to attain liberation if this Mahamaya is not merciful and removes that bondage. It is beyond human ability to comprehend how she helps each individual to move forwards liberation along a particular path. When we closely study our inner lives and compare our own with the Master's mystical life, it becomes evident that he was a unique and divine supreme being, prompted by his divine will, or perhaps by compassion for us. He lived in this sordid world, apparently humbler than the humblest. But in the realm of wisdom, he was the King of Kings. That is how amongst us he lived like a very humble being, humbler than the humblest. And it has been described by many that when not in samadhi or in divine mood, Sri Ramakrishna looked like a very humble person, would speak like a very humble person, would give respect to everyone. It was difficult for anybody to conceive that he is God in human form. But that is for our sake, so that we can connect to him. And when we connect to him, then the door, as it were, for divine illumination gets sprung open. Like that, you have heard the story in Arabian Nights of that Ali Baba and 40 thieves. So these 40 thugs or thieves, they would rob people and put all the booty in a cave. So, and then that cave looked very ordinary. It had a secret door, and then there was a secret word that one has to utter. What is that secret word? In English, what does it say? Do you know? Huh? Open sesame, open sesame. Open sesame. And then it would open. And then once you get in that outer roughness of the cave and the not so good an appearance of the surroundings, uh, uh, that all goes away. You see all the treasure. So when you enter this cave of Sri Ramakrishna's personality, then all the treasures as it were open. That what a spiritually rich, enormously rich this person was, can give you spiritual illumination, just like giving a candy or a gem. Yeah, have this. We want spiritual illumination. He is ready to give. Once we enter there, we become convinced that it is right there. So, in the Vedic period, yoga and bhoga, that is enjoyment. Bhoga is enjoyment. These two words rhyme well, so they are put many times together. This road leads to yoga. The road may not be that attractive, not that broad, rather a narrow lane. And this is a broad road, beautiful, very well decorated, smooth, and thousands of people going on that. So that is the analogy given in the Sermon on the Mount by Jesus. That narrow is the path, few walking there, that leads to heaven. The other road, a lot of people walking on that very broad path, very simple, straightforward road, it will lead to hell. So, Sri Ramakrishna is ready to give that illumination, but you have to walk on this narrow path, which is very difficult to walk on. So, the one sees the other path, that is so good, let me go by that path. This is what normally people tend to do. That is a principle in science also, science and engineering, the path of least resistance. We don't want to exert. So whatever is easy, let me do it. It is even in our these classes and retreats, one question that keeps on coming again and again from the audience is, can you tell us an easy path? The emphasis is on easy, not much on path. It has to be easy. Very interesting psychology. So now this easy path leads to this what is called bhoga and not yoga. So therefore the teachers of this yoga path, because people don't go there so easily, so they put some attractions on that path so that people will come there. That path also will look nice and tempting. So the temptation is now used to lead them towards this path of yoga. So this is this is how the tantras began. The subtitle for this paragraph that we are reading is the beginning of tantra, because Vaishnavacharan was a practitioner of Vishnu Tantra. It was a tantra practice. The goal of human life was to enjoy sense enjoyments legitimately through worship of their deities. That was how they tried to blend the worship and enjoyment. You can see it all in all worship places also, that it is we were having a discussion in one of our interfaith meetings, and then how do you observe this particular holy day? Well, we assemble, people come, we have some this music, Christian music, but music mainly. That Christ is just kept in at a low this thing. Music is important, so lot of people come and sing and dance. Uh, and then, wow, after that we have some reading that people want for 5 7 minutes max, not more than that. And then there is the nice food. That's it. Many come just at the food time, It is that is how because that is they say in their minds, so their conscience gets soothed. That if I am going just to enjoy feast, then the conscience pricks you. Hey, what are you doing? So they say, I am going to church. Today is a holy day. I want to pray. So I go to the prayer. Actually, they are going for the other things. But still, they want to have this dash of God in that too. Some religion has to be put in there. That is how the human mind naturally works, you see. It is, and so we were saying that's how in all religions. In Hindu religions also, I said that I used to go to the temple only to get prasad, means if they offer delicious food, they would offer nice delicious food. So I would go and stand in the line for it. So it is, why not go other places? No, I also like that I am to think that I am a devotee. So human beings are like that, a mixture. So the tantras use that deliberately to pull the minds of human beings to God, tempting them to that path by showing some attractive images. Come for this, come for that. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called people that, well, you will come here, you will get all enjoyments. They very pretty people there, and also you will get a fish that is very much liked by people there, that magur macher jhol. So we will give you the jhol of this particular fish, and then they would join there, and afterwards they would realize that what is meant by that was the joy of chanting the name of God, but by that time they are already sucked into it, so they are oblivious of other things, because the effect would be there. As I mentioned in the example, the effect of the medicine is not to get a candy. Vitthal might be thinking like that I will get candy by taking this bitter medicine. And he would say, I am obliging my parents by taking this medicine. I don't like that. But then they promise that they will give me something, a candy. So I will take that. But the effect of the medicine is that he will start feeling so good. All the problems of the sickness that will go away, the fever will go away, and so forth. That would automatically happen. The other things will not then matter at all. So this is the practical training that is suggested by saints to bring the minds of a lot of people on this right path. So, by performing those Vedic rituals, the worshipper's mind would become desireless to some extent, and they would become blessed as they worshipped God with pure devotion in as recommended in the Upanishads. And these are the two prominent parts of the Vedas. They are not really completely disconnected. That because this is a process of evolution. Certain toys are for children, that it is like as children they want to also play baseball, but they are too little and not skilled enough. So they have got, what is that called? Little leagues, isn't it? What is it, the name? Huh? Little leagues. So they play in the little leagues of baseball first, and then they rise from there. So it is the karma kanda portion is like that. That okay, associate with God. You have your desires, but do something in connection with God, and then you will get those enjoyments also. So thus they are taken there, but then association with God purifies them. Okay, you will get that food, but first you pray, then you will get the food. Now we recite the prayer so that we will get food, but then the recital of prayer will have its own beneficial impact. That is to be thought of. The sages think like that, that these spiritual babies like us will not understand things unless whatever they are seeking is given to them through it. Okay, pray and you will get this. Okay, so for that you will pray, but the prayer will have a purifying impact. And now that person is ready to understand the Upanishads, the secrets of the higher spiritual life, that is called the knowledge portion of Vedas. First is the work portion, karma kanda, that okay, you do all this work and thus you will get to this heaven or that heaven where you will get more enjoyments and so forth. That is the idea of heavens in Vedas. Like our desires are that we want enjoyments, lot of enjoyments, but the enjoyments on the earth they bring ultimately misery. Even to get them is misery. You have to work hard to get them, and then they go away leaving the misery behind. So this is seen, and so we imagine a place. There would be a nice place where it would be just enjoyment. We will get all the nice food that we can enjoy without any reaction of say putting on weight or getting some disease because of overeating. No problem, you can eat as much as I had told that story that a couple they were very strict observers of the health rules, would eat very moderate food, take the proper food supplements and medicines and exercise, all as prescribed. So they lived a fairly long life, and then they were good people, so were admitted to heaven. And then at the heaven they were asked, well, these are all the nice palatial places that you can choose where you want to live. And then that lady said, please show us something that modest rent, we can't afford all these nice things. And they were assured, this is heaven, you don't have to pay anything. Wow! Choose any that to your liking. Then they were shown all these nice food kept there. And eat whatever you want, how much, as much as you want, no problem. But we, myself and my husband, we want food with low carbs. These seem to be high carbs and oil and all that. We want to avoid all that. No, no, you can eat all that. Your health will. This is heaven. No problem. Everything will be fine. So that is the idea in some minds of heaven. We will get enjoyment sans the misery that gets associated or coupled here. Here, every single enjoyment that if you feel like eating something in a restaurant, you have to pay bill. That's the problem. You don't get it for free. So, you want money? Well, you have to work hard. It is all problematic. Everything is associated with misery. So, heaven, there will be only a merriment sans any bad reaction of it. So, the karma kanda gives some idea like that. Okay, do it and then you will get to heaven, you will get this enjoyment. But then again, you get tired of it. Even if you are given enjoyment without suffering, that enjoyment itself becomes suffering. You get tired. How many chalupas will you be able to eat, Vithal? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. Even if you like more after that, no, I don't want it. Yeah, it is. So you feel tired of that. You want to get away from it. That itself becomes suffering. So, therefore, no escape from suffering. That person understands and now is ready to follow the path of Upanishads. So, we will continue the discussion in the next class. There are some very important points associated with it. But today's time is over already. So, we will stop here and continue the discussion on next Tuesday. So, we will meditate for 30 seconds on what we learned, and then in case if you have questions, feel free to ask. Yes, please. Any question?
Yeah, there's a question from Chris Bartolota.
Yes.
Pranam Maharaj. I have read that the Karta Bhaja sect holds their founder to be an incarnation too. Couldn't one argue that because of this, it was easy for Vaishnavacharan to accept Thakur as an avatar?
Oh, well, see, Sri Ramakrishna was not the founder of Karta Bhaja sect. But what Vaishnavacharan saw, what Chris has mentioned is correct. It comes in this book itself, that the Karta Bhaja followers of that particular sect to which Vaishnavacharan was connected. So they treat their founder as incarnation of God. Also, in addition to that, in many other sects, your guru is also identified with God. And Guru is like God. What Vaishnavacharan saw in Sri Ramakrishna, as all the different spiritual aspirants were able to see, that Sri Ramakrishna is best even in their path. Even for their path, Sri Ramakrishna is the supreme. He is the supreme from all angles, from all paths. That is why Swami Vivekananda was forced to say in this great couplet, Sthapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharmaswarupine. He is the one who has established the religion, and he is of the nature of the all religions, as it were, manifested in him. Sarva dharma swarupine. He is the congealed, concentrated embodiment of all religions. So that is how what Vaishnavacharan came to see in Sri Ramakrishna, and therefore it is right that Vaishnavacharan was easily able to consider Sri Ramakrishna as incarnation of God. Correct? Anybody else has any question here? Yes, Sharada? You are correct there. Yeah, that is how the world is full of sufferings. Buddha therefore said, this is all suffering. This is all suffering. Only the wise people know it beforehand. The fools, they come to know afterwards. That's all. So the wise see even what we call as enjoyment as suffering, and so they don't go in for that. It is in Bhagavad Gita, it is a very beautiful statement that yehi sansparshaja bhoga dukkha yonaya evate. Whatever are the so called enjoyments which come through the contacts. The contact means the enjoyer and enjoyed, they get connected. Through that contact you feel a sense of pleasure. Like you want to eat something you like. Now that comes in contact with your tongue, and you get a sensation of pleasure conveyed through that contact, through your nervous system and so forth. But it goes away. They become the causes. Dukkha yonaya evate. They become causes for suffering. Your yearning for that increases. You become more restless. That fulfillment is not there at all. Knowing this, the nateshu ramate buddhaha, the wise people, they do not go to indulge in these. Yeah, correct, because that is suffering. Yeah, so let us conclude with the closing prayers. May the Divine, who is Father in heaven of the Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, Great Spirit of the Native Americans, Ahura Mazda of the Zoroastrians, and Brahman of the Hindus. Lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the all-loving being manifest himself unto us and grant us abiding understanding and all-consuming divine love. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.